What's happening, everybody? Welcome to episode 48 of the Club Lorcana podcast. I'm one of your hosts, Jeremy Bertarioni. With me, as always, ZAN Syed.
Hello.
And we got the Rhinoceros, friend of the podcast, Ryan, here joining us.
Mahalo.
Mahalo. And, you know, we are back. Set 8 is out. We are done with the speculation and into the play occasion. And so we just had the SSG. I didn't get to go. You didn't get to go. Ryan, you went. How'd it go for you?
I was boots on the ground. We got to go down on the south side again. I didn't have the best weekend, unfortunately.
Why? And sort of
Sag.
it was all on you because the rest of us are qualified for SSG's crazy invitational.
True.
Featuring like super spaghetti noodle dinners and stuff like that. I can't wait to see what all they roll out for us.
We do have a format now for the invitational, by the way.
What?
And this was sort of your
I guess I should have.
I don't want to talk about it. I don't want to hear about that.
Tell us about it.
No, yeah, tell us about it.
Okay, so first, let's start on the weekend, then we'll go to what the format is.
Yeah.
Okay. So on the weekend, I've been prepping for about 2 weeks to go down based on basically we got all the cards.
Yep.
I think leading contenders for me to take down were blue-red, green-steel, and there was a little bit of me that still wanted to play Jafar if the circumstances around it were correct.
Okay.
I basically ended up waffling for 2 weeks trying to figure out which one was better, and it cut down on the play testing time I had to really get games in. So I ended up taking blue-red items, lost my first 2 rounds to die, basically. Really close match against green steel, and then I think I lost 2-0 to Shernadogs in round 2 to Jack, one of the SSG players down there. And so my day was over pretty quick, unfortunately. We did a little bit of a debrief between the 3 of us, but essentially it came down to this idea of, do we want to take the deck that we think is best for the room or the deck that we think we're going to play as close to 100% as possible, right? And that's kind of the ebb and flow that was in my testing.
So one thing that we told you before the week was, and this is kind of turned into a metagame analysis, was that at SSG, they love to dump them out. The Amber Steel is usually one of the most played decks. The people down in Florida like to play 1-drops, and then on turn 2, they play 2 1-drops. I mean, that's just kind of how they're doing it over there. And so I think Red Blue was a natural choice. And you feel like the games didn't go well. Red Blue usually can, eat up some aggro decks pretty easy. So first of all, was that an accurate, guess at what the metagame would be? And then number 2, why do you feel like Red Blue sort of let you down in a spot where it's usually so reliable?
I think yes and no. I think people say that as a blanket statement. Like, yes, blue-red can have game into some aggro. Obviously, Bell on turn 1 helps that in a lot of occasions, right? But there are scenarios where you don't have the cards to combat aggro, right? And some of these starts that these decks have, if you don't have some way to get Sisu out by turn 6, sometimes you're just dead before then, or you're not in turn 6 because you ramped early, right?
Sure.
And yeah, you can just die to him if you don't have that kind of removal in your hand.
Yeah.
Zam, what's your analysis on the metagame SSG right now?
I mean, the analysis that we talked about right before the tournament was pretty spot on. I mean, the first thing you have to know is true is you can't win every tournament. You just can't. Like, no matter what your preparation is, there's nothing you can do to win every single tournament. It's just like not possible. So I think what you need. Did I say it wrong?
We're just laughing because, like, don't you win every tournament? You went back to back months and months and months of not losing any Lorcana tournaments.
That happens, but I mean, how many people does it happen to? It doesn't happen that often. There's things that you can do to give yourself a shot at winning, but it's not gonna always work out.
Sure.
And so I feel like I'm an example of where luck meets preparation. But there's luck 100% there. Like, I'm not saying like I'm skillfully just beating everybody every single time. There's still luck there. And so I think that the number one thing that you have to, like, you can't know, if you're not the person who was playing the tournament, you actually can never like reflect for them whether their tournament actually ended because they had no decisions to make, or whether they had decisions to make and they made the wrong decisions.
Sure.
And so that's where it becomes really difficult, because I really think about my early days as becoming a TCG card player. And I would go to these tournaments for Magic. And I remember I was always like asking my opponent, how do I get, like, did you see me do anything wrong? Blah, blah, blah. And what I noticed was that there was these players that were better than me and performed better at me in tournaments, but I would be watching them and I would watch them make a mistake. But afterwards, let's say I asked them about the mistake, hey, would you ever consider making this line? Them thinking they're just straight better than me forever, are like, no, I knew that my opponent had this in their hand. And so they would always create a scenario where they believed that there was no way to get out of, there's nothing they could have done. And so I honestly just kept witnessing that over and over again. And I was like, I don't want to be that person who's stuck at that level because they're in denial about the mistakes that they're making. And so the truth is, no matter who comes up to me and is like, there's nothing I could have done, there's always going to be a little bit of doubt there, that is there really nothing that they could have done in their match? And there's no way for me to 100% know that. And so that part exists. Then on top of all of that, picking the right deck, usually for a tournament, if you think about the tournament, there's going to be probably 2, maybe 3 right choices for a big tournament.
Okay.
And so I think that before the tournament, I told Ryan, I think I would play either blue-red or green-steel. Those are my two choices.
Yeah.
And then you just have to accept what you're willing to lose to and what you're gonna what you want to beat, right? And so let's think about what Ryan said. Game 1. Is there anything that he could have done in game 1, right? It came down to the wire. If there were 1 or 2 decisions he switched it up that allowed him to win, it puts him into a different bracket, which probably allows him to dodge Chernodog. Because Chernodog is a deck that I believe the longer that tournament goes, the less likely you are to play against that deck, because it's such a heavy amber steel, green steel place.
Mm-hmm.
There's so much steel in the room at an SSG. It can be tricky to win with Turnidogs.
So if there was a moment where Ryan could have made a different decision, it most likely existed in round 1. And if that's true, then Ryan knows where everything went wrong, and the rest of the tournament is actually just void for him. The moment he made the mistake, that's the moment he lost the tournament. And it's unfortunate it was in round 1, but that's the way I look at it.
The SSG is probably going to shape a lot of the metagame moving forward. Let's talk about some of the top 8 decks. Green, purple, I think ended up winning, right? Isn't it right about that? Green, blue, red, purple won.
Green steel.
Green steel.
Right.
That's right, because he made red, purple discard all his cards.
Facts.
That's what Prince John ended up winning.
You watched him bounce rabbit 3 times in a turn or something.
Prince John did not win that tournament. You know what won that tournament?
Ursula?
The Lilo and Stitch song.
Oh, Beyond the Horizon?
Yes.
I thought that card was terrible.
It was amazing. It was absolutely amazing. How many cards did it draw?
15
Well,
plus the 3, so 18.
Yeah, I mean, if you double sing it, then you get a bunch of cards in your hand.
I mean, we just gotta say that's like fucking freaking incredible.
That is effing incredible.
It was a lot of cards.
We have to bleep out ZAN now. You know that cost us $4,000 in this new studio to bleep you out? And that comes out of my paycheck, okay? I don't know why I shouldn't have signed this contract, but I did. He curses, comes out of my paycheck.
Control.
What else we got going on? I'm happy to be done with the Renfest. The Renfest season is over. Big shout out, thank you to everybody who came and visited me from the podcast. I had quite a few people come up and be like, I listened to your podcast. I honestly think it was a great break from Lorcana. I'm so eager to play and test for Worlds. Whereas kind of before, I mean, people from my space know this. I was kind of like, we're in like a whole format. I like don't really care about Lorcana. I'm like trying to play other games. I'm logging a lot of hours into Balatro. But now I'm like playing Lorcanito every night. I'm like, I want to play Lorcana. I want to beat people in Lorcana. So I think it was a good break for me. Does it help my play? Maybe not. But I think, I was putting myself on the spot for a lot of the times. A lot of people that came by and saw me saw that I was like basically performing in a hole for like 50, 60 people that had gathered around. And it's like mostly improv. So like Somebody gets up and they're like, okay, insult me. Like, you look dumb. You know, like it's like you're putting yourself right on the spot. So maybe that'll help with the pressure that people feel during tournaments.
If they came and mentioned the podcast, did they get free tomatoes?
I gave them free tomatoes.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, every time. I didn't tell my boss. But that guy dumpster dives for like a carton of rotten tomatoes, makes me cut them into 6 and then sells them for $5 for 5 cuts. So he's got a free box of rotting tomatoes that he makes like maybe $500 on.
Woof.
It's like insane. So if I gave somebody like 12 free ones, the overhead's all labor, so it's all like fine. Anyway, all this to say, I'm excited. I'm back. I'm rejuvenated for Lorcana, and I'm especially excited to test for Worlds with ZAN. ZAN, the Worlds format is announced. It's over. There's no more secrets.
Yeah, I mean, it's a really tough format.
We have triple deck.
Yep.
Let me explain triple deck. Basically, every Worlds competitor is going to bring 3 decks. Each one is a unique combination of ink colors. There are no overlapping colors. So if you play green steel as one of your decks, none of your other decks can have green steel. So you need to get all of the colors. And the goal of that, as stated by Ravensburger, is they want the world champion to be a master of all 6 colors of ink. This, of course, leads to a bunch of different crazy combinations you could do. You could do something like, I'm just going to make these up. Purple steel, yellow red, blue green. That could be one. Because it's one of each. I just want to explain the format. I'm not saying that that's a good idea to play that one.
I just want to say that as soon as you say they want a master of all the 6 colors, I just think of Thanos and his giant.
They're trying to get the.
I think of Avatar.
Whatever, man.
Yeah, I think whatever, man, on what Zan just said. The next format is super sealed. So they're going to have 4 packs of every set from year 2. What's year 2? Well, it's set 5, 6, 7, 8. 4 packs of each of those. It's going to be about 190 cards or whatever. And you have to make a 50-card deck that is 3 ink colors. I think that's pretty clear. You can play any card. And then you also have a sideboard, which is rare for Lorcana. But what a sideboard means is all the cards that are not in your deck, you can put to the side and you can bring some in and take some out to like arrange your deck. So if you're, for example, playing a red, yellow, green deck, you could take out all your green cards, bring in all your blue cards, and then be playing a red, yellow, blue deck in game 2. Yes, you can.
I think you can't change your colors.
You
You're
cannot
locked
change
into
your
your
colors.
3 colors.
You can't change your colors?
So your sideboard only consists of all the cards that are in your original 3 colors. Because at the end of that game, you have to go back to your
The
original.
moment you decide your 3 colors,
That's your 3 colors.
those are your 3 colors. So you can sideboard with those.
I was thinking way too hard during our first session then, because I was prepared to board into Amber if I thought that my deck wasn't going to work.
I wish it was like that, and I
Yeah.
think a lot of people do wish that way because I used to do that in Magic. all
I
the
did
time.
that in Magic a lot, and I day 2'd the Kaladesh Grand Prix with like the craziest. I would start red white and then go white black, and then game 3 back to red white. I felt like a mad scientist all day. I was like, anyway, just so you know, Ryan, that's like a good feeling in sealed when you're like,
I think that would be insane.
You switch from like a control deck into an aggro deck into a mid range deck, and sometimes someone's like, "Oh, I want to like have like get rid of all your items in a color." So you're like, "Let me just play a color that doesn't play items."
right.
And you like quickly switch it out. It's like it's sweet.
It's always a good feeling too when your opponent just like starts shuffling for game 2 and you like bring in the deck mark, you like bring in 13 and like take out 13 and you're like, are you boarding? They're like, no, I'm good. And you're like, you're not gonna win.
I've got you.
I'm like
Yeah.
so lasered in on what beats.
In this format, you have to announce when you have decided to board in cards. I think.
Interesting. Okay, so anyway, we have triple deck and super sealed. We're testing super hard. I think 2 or 3 times this week we're going to play sealed with some close friends in Atlanta. No offense if we didn't talk to you. You have to be clean. What does that mean? That means not affiliated with any of the other pro teams or pro members that are going to be there. So we have a lot of friends that talk a lot with the World Class Cards people. Kendall Burdett, he can't be in our testing, which is sad because it's great to have all the best players. All this is to say, if you live in Atlanta and we haven't reached out and you're best friends with Jonathan Lamb or something, then like that might be why.
So that's
Sorry.
oddly specific.
Remind me the rounds. So how many rounds of Super Seal do you play before you switch to
3.
Constructed? Okay.
Yeah, I
So
think it's
3
round 1, 2,
rounds
and
of
3.
Super Sealed and then
Fi-
everybody that's started the tournament goes into core constructed as well.
That is
Yep.
going to happen because the way that it is once you have 5 wins, you're done playing.
You're in to the
Oh,
next.
but aren't
day.
there only 7 rounds?
I thought there was 8 rounds. There are 8 rounds total.
Okay. Yeah, so you could still be live after the super sealed portion.
Dang, am I wrong? I'm pretty sure it's 8.
Okay.
We should square that away.
Basically, the reason why I think it's 8 is because I knew that when I was reading it, I was thinking, oh, if I lose all 3 of the sealed rounds and I won all 5 of the constructed rounds, I'll still make day 2.
That's not going to happen because we're testing super hard for super sealed.
But if you win all 3 of your rounds of super sealed, it feels like you're in a pretty money spot going into constructed, right?
I mean, that's
Well-
always true. 3-0ing is
Sure.
I mean, limited is sealed is always a format that gives you a huge edge over everybody else. But what I will say is, it makes you fall on your face both types of ways, right? So constructed still ends up being the most important thing, because if you fell on your face for sealed, constructed still can still bail you out, right? Considering that there are 8 rounds. Now, if you 3-0 sealed, you could still fall on your face because let's say your strategy for constructed is so bad that all of a sudden this 3-0 person could literally be 3-5.
Yep.
Because their constructed strategy was so bad. So it's a very brutal tournament, which will literally pinpoint where you were the most unprepared. And if there's a flaw in your strategy, I mean, Worlds players will figure it out.
Pro tours for Magic the Gathering were typically structured this way, where they had draft rounds and then constructed rounds. And there's so many people that got to the Pro Tour every year with their standard deck or whatever, and just like never had it in limited. And they were great standard players, but they don't get to top 8 Pro Tours because you have to do both.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
Interestingly, the only game I played before Lorcana was Pokemon. Draft doesn't exist in Pokemon.
Right, it's a constructed game.
It's not
only.
a thing. So this was my first exposure. Lorcana is my first exposure to this. I mean, probably in Vegas when we played. That was one of the first times that I had played sealed of any kind.
Cool.
It's the thing that will level you up the most. I like really believe that if you played more limited, it'll make you a better deck builder. It'll make you a better overall Lorcana player. So play it.
Limited Magic is probably my favorite way to play Magic, especially now that most of the constructed formats are pretty much trashed by the cards that they've been printing. So yeah, I mean, I like limited a lot. You really figure out attack or block. When can I trade? When do I have to quest? That was sort of the thing about in our testing. Zan and I were just in a situation where he had an evasive character. I didn't have any way to deal with it, and so suddenly, like, well, now I have to send my 4/4s in, even though, like, you know, he might be able to like plink them down with 2 2/2s, because I can't just sit back and wait for him to win the game. And limited just like really gives you a good pulse on, like, I lost that game, but all the plays I made, like, I had to make because getting to 16 was my best chance at drawing the thing that gave me lore or whatever. Yeah, I mean, limited's just a great way to learn the fundamentals of any game that you're playing. Plus you get to play fun cards that you don't ever get to play, you know. Suddenly Don Carnage, the green steel uninkable card, is like, oh, this guy might be fun to play in limited, or something like that. Anything else you want to say about your preparation for Worlds?
I mean, it's one of the hardest tournaments I've ever prepared for. I mean, it's brutal. Just like the amount of, it feels like an infinite hole of like things that you can think about to prepare for it. It honestly, like, if playing a normal Lorcana tournament seems so much more relaxing. Just like coming up with like one deck, I'm like, oh, I wish we were just doing that.
Yeah.
But no, I honestly, I love this format. I think it's gonna bring the best out of me. But right now, it's like, you know, like it's hard. It's really hard.
In some ways, testing for it's really fun, because a lot of times some of your bad ideas get discarded really early on in the process. And I'm like kind of somebody who always wants to play these wacky decks. So I'm like a guy that loves Red Steel Vikings. I love blue yellow item aggro, right? These are like decks that I love to play. Whereas, like, really though, if we're playing in a DLC or playing in a CCS, like, you kind of have to put those aside and just play one of the good decks. Now, what people are learning about triple deck is it's really easy to have 2 color combinations that are really good, right? I can play blue red and yellow steel as 2 of my decks, and then I'm left with maybe like a one that's 1 tier lower. I think I actually just left myself with green purple, so that's maybe not the
Like
best
fine.
example. But there's tons of times where it's like blue yellow is all you got left. Like if it's green steel and red purple, you're playing blue yellow on the other end, and that's like
Can we call blue yellow blello?
we can't say blello.
Why?
No one's
Well-
ever called it that.
I don't make the rules.
I just like blello. All right, we can move on.
Judging by the awkward silence in the room after you said blello, ugh.
I love blello.
They're calling blue yellow something. Justice calls it something interesting.
Who is that?
Lorcana Justice is a guy that's in my space all the time, and he does metagame breakdowns. He's a good follow on Twitter, and he plays in England.
Cool. Any of your friends are my friends.
Right. I mean, he's just a good guy. I think he's relatively unaffiliated, although he's honestly probably spending a lot of time right now testing with DKP.
Can't come play Super Sealed with us.
He can't come
Sorry,
play Super Sealed with
Justice.
us. Yeah, he just can't.
Almost a friend of the podcast, Justice.
He's definitely a friend of the space. He's one of the people that I can like rely on, always be in the space.
Injustice.
Space has got to come back soon. I've started a new job recently, so I just haven't necessarily had the same amount of freedom or leeway or time. Like with my last job, honestly, if I just wanted to like take Monday off, I pretty much always could have. But this job, it's like they want me there doing the work during the work week, which I'm just honestly really confused by.
What in the
What are you
world?
guys talking about?
Yeah, it's been rough. Work's been a lot.
Work's been busy, but I mean, work's busy for all of our viewers too. We kind of owe it to them to like be like, let's talk about Lorcana. Lorcanito's back. I've been playing a little bit of that. It's been interesting because with Worlds coming up, we got to be pretty tight about what Zan's playing and what Zan's thinking about. Can you explain why? I feel like you explained it to me over the phone earlier this week, and I really thought it was an interesting thing to mention on the podcast. And what I'm referring to is you often talk about a lot of the times in Lorcana you feel like you're playing against yourself.
Yeah, I feel like I affect the meta, in a good way, of course. But when it comes to Worlds, yeah, I just don't want to build something and share something that comes back to bite me. Like, can you imagine you're at Worlds and your opponent's like, "Oh, I got this deck list from you," and you're like, I'm gonna lose to my own deck list." Like, so I feel like for Worlds, I have to just kind of not be myself, right? In terms of the way I interact with the public, and so that part has been definitely tough. But yeah, I'm like looking forward to getting through Worlds and then seeing everybody else on the other side.
In other news, you played in a Pokemon Pocket tournament since we last had a podcast.
That's true.
How'd that go? Did you test for that any?
I did test for that, and not like as much as I would like, but it was like kind of during the gray area of when we didn't have Reign of Jafar just yet. And so I felt like it was a good way for me to relax, to be honest. Like, I'm testing for something, but it's not Worlds, right? And so Ursa Day, who played Lorcana for a bit, who's a Pokemon creator, invited me to this tournament, and it was honestly really relaxing. So I played Giratina, Darkrai,
and
Greninja. And the deck was pretty phenomenal. So it was 2,700 people, and I made.
It's a huge. They're huge, by the way. It's why I'm talking about it right now, is because it was a giant tournament that Zan played in.
Yeah, and it was a cut to top 128, and so I finished 7-2.
I think you were 7-2 at the end of
Day one.
Day one, which did secure your spot in the top 128.
Yep. So I finished. No, I think I finished 8-2. It was a 10-round tournament.
I think that is true.
Yeah. So I finished 8-2, made it to day 2, top 128. Ed also played in this tournament. I think he fell 1 short. But yeah, so I ended up making top 128. I won the first round, lost the second round. It was single elimination, just like a DLC. And so I made top 64, and then I lost. It was a 10K, absolute amazing experience. It was best of 3, which I felt like helped conquer some of the variants that you see in Pokemon Pocket. Pokemon Pocket is definitely not at the same level of like all skill that Lorcana has. And so once they made it best of 3, it kind of unlocked the game for me. I felt like, oh, I have a shot at beating out at least 2,600 people, right? And that felt like an incredible unlock. But if it was best of 1, I think I had zero faith that I would get through.
Close to flipping coins all day.
Exactly. And so I did lose to, what's that fighting type deck?
The Rampardos, I call it Dino deck because it
Yeah.
always makes that dinosaur.
The Dino deck, which I felt like wasn't the greatest choice. I felt like it was a deck that would lose majority of the early rounds, and it did lose majority of the early rounds, but this person was high rolling at the wazoo.
That deck can high roll pretty high. It has a tough time with Meowscarada and other grass types.
And that was one of the most popular decks.
Yep.
And so yeah, I felt like my opponent, I think, was one of the complete undefeateds, and then fell really hard the next round.
Yeah, anything that comes out pretty early is really tough for the dinosaur deck, but anything that's late, for example, Charizard that needs a few turns to build up, or Darkrai Giratina, which 2 or 3 turns to be at operating capacity, is going to have a really tough time with the dinosaurs.
Yeah, it was very, very tough. I had some really close lines of like, if my opponent didn't have all these, like had like a more normal draw, then I easily won. Yeah, overall it was such an awesome experience. I would definitely do it again, but but I would never choose it over Lorcana.
Would never choose Pokemon Play over Lorcana, but it must have been nice to play a tournament from the comfort of your own home on the comfort of your own phone.
That was cool.
Somebody calls me, hey, I'm in the middle of a match right now, and I can't talk because it's on the device that I'm using to play.
Definitely have to do not disturb while you're playing that tournament.
We should
Definitely
talk about the other tournament that I played in. That I just finished up.
Birds.
Badminton.
The LCC.
Oh.
Congrats on winning the LCC this time, Zan. Last time you were a runner-up winner. This time you defeated Moyen as your final opponent.
Yeah, so the last time I played against Zach Bivens in the final, and this is a EU versus NA tournament, and so it was NA versus NA in the finals. So I ended up losing in the finals to Zach. Great player, world's competitor, good friend.
Zorro of Lorcana. Yep.
We're both C's. And yeah, that was I had a great experience, and I was happy to run it back. And it was a really, really, really long tournament.
Best of 5.
You played against Moyen in a best of 5. There was a webcam game. It lasted, I think, maybe 16 hours.
It was so long.
Really
I remember us talking about making a plan to do something after, which was the most egregious thing we've ever done in our entire lives. I was thinking we were going to do anything after this best of 5.
Well, we didn't know that was going to go all 5, right? But it took a long time.
Zan,
What was it?
Did you feel like you were favored? It's a set 7 matchup, so I'm not trying to talk too much about where we're at now with that. But at the time, did you feel favored with the amount of testing that you had done?
Yeah, I mean, I definitely felt like my deck is what carried me in the matchup. And, Moyen was playing green-purple discard. I was playing a DKP-style blue-red deck with the bells. And so, yeah, I felt like Maui Shark was really, really well-positioned in the matchup. But, the discard shell can basically conquer anything, because discard doesn't care about what it's making you discard, right? Like a sudden chill could make you discard a Maui Shark, but it could also make you discard a Tipo, right? And so yeah, I felt like when we were testing, I was favored, but I felt like the game was in Moyen's hands, right? I felt like he had game that he could play. There were things that he could mulligan, and he played honestly masterfully, and it was he made it really tough. I mean, we ended up going to 5, and yeah, it took everything to win that one.
That's what you can expect. He's one of the top players in the world. Is Moyen going to Worlds? Is he in Worlds? I need to get a list of those 28 players because otherwise my journalism is
so we
not
can
good.
dox them. We got to go all of our research.
We don't have to dox him, but I did want to design a fantasy like play league experience. And if I have all of them on a list, then I can just like make a Word document that is like a fun thing that people can follow along, do their own fantasy draft. Probably going to be a set amount of points per win in day 1, a flat rate of points for day 2. If you and 8 friends get together, you can each draft, what's 24? 8 times 3 is 24. So you can each draft 3 players, and then 4 players get left out. And you can follow them, and you get a certain amount of points per every basically round they make it.
Oh, it's almost like the format we should have done for Fantasy Survivor.
Definitely the format you should have done for Fantasy Survivor. How'd that go, by the way? Who won?
Oh, yeah, I did win. I brought it home. Yeah. My boy Kyle brought it home for me. It really started to shift in Kyle's favor, I thought, the last 2-3 episodes. Ever since the big lie, the big idol lie,
Yeah.
it started to lean in Kyle's favor.
I mean, what was his number 2's name?
Camilla. Yeah.
I mean, she would have won if she made it to top 3. Yeah, I mean, it really just came down to that. Camilla was not one of my players. It was my wife's player.
True.
Um,
It was interesting. All 4 of us that are in the Survivor Pool had somebody still alive going into the finale. So going into the finale, anybody's game.
I watched Survivor pretty much religiously as a kid from when I was 6 years old all the way until season 42. So I watched season 1 through 42. I gave up on it. I said, now I'm free. I've like done my time. I've written college essays about Survivor strategy and stuff like that. I'm like good now. I'm done. I might come back for season 50. Season 50 looked really interested, and they're bringing back some of my favorite players, like Coach.
It looks
yeah,
good.
but for season 50, you have to get into season 49 because some of the players are going to be on season 50. Why would you want to watch a season which is like bringing back players that you have no idea about?
If anyone's curious about ZAN and I's friendship, it basically is foundationally me not wanting to do something and ZAN convincing me to do it. He knows that I'm extremely weak to get in the car. There's definitely been times, like even recently, where he like calls me. He's like, "You got to come to this tournament today," and I'm like, "I'm in bed. I'm not doing it." He's like, "I'm outside your house in the car," and I like look at my girlfriend. And I'm like, "Well, I gotta go," and I just can't get in the car.
It's the best.
So now he's gonna make me do this, and it's all very good. The thing that he's bad at making me do is play video games with him. And that's because he only likes basic ones, and I like really obscure ones.
I mean, so would you call
Path to Exile 2, I would call very basic. I am looking at Claire Obscure 33 as a better option.
Yeah, I was trying to convince you to play that when
I think I'm in. Right now, I've been really into Lorcana, again, because I take a big break.
I mean, that's the best one.
Yeah, I like Lorcana. What I like most about Lorcana is when you win a tournament and all your friends think that you're so good, and then they give you a bunch of money.
That's a cool part.
That's the cool part. And then you can go get pho. Or whatever.
Yeah, that's fantastic.
All right, so moving forward, we're going to be testing a lot going into Worlds. Anything else you want to say to the people?
We should talk about the format of SSG. Did we talk about
that? Yeah, the SSG Invitational. They basically announced that the Saturday of the tournament is going to be Fabled launch. So there's going to be a Fabled launch tournament. I believe it's Saturday.
So you can qualify for the tournament.
First of all, no, that you can't, is what they said, which I think is egregious. So basically with the tournaments we've had right now, of course I think that because I'm not qualified.
Right, there's like 60.
There's 64 people qualified right now. So it's a good number. But my whole thing was if you make this an LCQ, you get a ton more people to come out because they want to be in the Invitational the next day.
Yes.
So I've got some sources, who knows? At the end of the day, maybe they make it that, and then it gets a bunch more people out.
Right, I'm saying advocate for it to be a last chance qualifier.
Yes, 100%. So
make it better.
64 is a good number, though. And if you add like 8, then you have...
What's 72?
Well,
weird number.
Do we know 100% all 64 players are going to be there?
No.
Yes. How would you miss an invitational? It's a tournament you got invited.
It's pretty egregious.
I mean, I any time 64 players have been invited, someone's not.
I think it is possible. To be fair, my round 3 opponent this last weekend, we're both 0-2. We sit down to play. He's already qualified. I trounce him.
Nice.
I 2-0 him bad, and it makes me feel worse. Because he's already qualified.
I don't think you should think about it that way.
Anyway, Saturday tournament will be Fabled constructed with rotation. Sunday invitational, Infinity format.
Oh yeah, I like that.
I like it a lot.
I mean, this sounds like
Great weekend, right?
like one of the best weekends ever.
Yeah.
I'm playing Mono Red Storm combo.
I don't even know what that is.
Guaranteed. It's gonna be Lilos, a bunch of actions that cost 1. This is Infinity format.
Yeah.
I think it sounds like a great weekend. Obviously, we like going down to Margate, Florida. I think that'll be a great weekend to do it.
I think that the winner of the Friday tournament should be in this tournament, and I'm cool with 65, but I don't think it's going to be 65.
65, Zan gets a bye.
Yep. That's the format.
Great.
Oh,
great, great.
65, and the person who has performed the best at
Cumulatively.
gets number 1.
65, Zan gets a bye. It's what I said already. Okay, great. Well, let's wrap it up here. You know, we don't like to just like fill up air. Oh, I do want to say soon we have a lot of stuff to talk about soon with the Riot game is coming out.
Oh yeah.
And they're looking to make that one really big. Elestrals is getting an online client soon. That might be what it takes to get us into it. I'm hopeful.
I still haven't played it. So,
I played a little bit with Ryan.
how was
We
it,
actually just still don't know how to play, though, is the problem.
The instructions they gave us were like a little tough, but seemed fun. The online client's really gonna make or break it for me.
I'm undefeated in.
bud? I'm excited about the League of Legends tournament. Apparently, their first big tournament is going to be here,
In Atlanta in December, and cash prize.
and it's supposed to be rules similar to Magic and Lorcana, so easy.
Yeah, I've known what every card has done that I've read.
Yep.
From be like, oh, look at this, it's a 2/3, and it says whatever you discard a card. Like, okay, it costs 4, I get it. All right, great. So yeah, that about wraps it up. My name is Jeremy Bertarioni. You can follow me on Twitter at MoxJeremy. If you came to see me at the Renfest, thank you very much. Zan, tell them who you are and where they can find you.
Thanks for already being here. And Ryan?
Ryan Walker, you can get me on Twitter at Ryan Walked. See you at CCS in a couple weekends.
Bye.
Peace.